the treble on one. Like I watched this thing with Angus Young's Guitar Tech, and he showed what the settings were.
Oh yeah, but they were different for each Plexi though.
Yeah, but they were very similar actually.
Hey everybody, I'm Rhett Shull.
Rick Beato.
So we're over here at Rick's studio today, and we were hanging out. He had his Marshall Plexi half stack out in the live room set up for a video. And we were talking about the Marshall and everything, and I thought it might be a cool idea to test out the Plexi through a 412 versus some amp in a box overdrive pedals.
This is a Handwired Plexi. It's fairly new. It's about a year old or so.
Yeah, and then the cabinet's a 412 basket weave. What's in
1971, 25 watt greenbacks in it.
Yep, and then we've got that mic'd up with a 421 and an SM57 going through. What preamps are we going
Those are two Helios Type 6.9 preamps like you would have in Olympic Studios back in the day. Stones, Zeppelin,
yeah,
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. So this is going to be a pretty straight ahead, easy, fun video. I've got my custom shop Firebird here. We're going to play through the Marshall, get a sound pulled up that we like, and then we've got a smattering of overdrive pedals of different designs, different manufacturers, different styles.
And we're going to go through a clean amp, like a high watt custom 50, so that we can A/B the two and see how close it gets. We need to have a clean amp for the pedal platform.
Yeah, let's get a sound pulled up. Cool, so that's the amp. What do you think? Sounds like a Marshall. You can really hear the ghosting in there. I know we've talked about that before, but
Especially when you went your rhythm pickup.
yeah, like here.
Yeah. Now this is pretty high. This Marshall is very loud. It's almost dime, the two channels.
Yeah, we've got the channels jumped, and it's not all the way up. Both volume controls are not all the way, but they're both about 2 o'clock.
Yeah. It's loud.
Yeah.
Well, in the other room.
Yeah. You want to throw up the high watt? Okay. Okay, so we just put up the high watt. This is the custom 50. It's a 50 watt, just basically clean amp. This is how we're running it today. All the EQs are just set right in the middle, so they shouldn't be coloring the preamp that much, and we're going to put the pedals right in front of this amp. We are running into the exact same cab with the same mics and preamp setups. The only thing that's changing is the amp head and the pedals going into the rest of the signal chain. So we're going to start with the BB preamp from Xotic. This is a smooth clipping overdrive circuit, preamp circuit. One of my favorite pedals actually ever of all time. From what I have been told, BB stands for Big British, and the clipping style, the overdrive style that they were sort of going for with this pedal, from what I understand, is very Marshall-esque. And I owned one for about 2 or 3 years, and I think that's pretty accurate. You can get some nice, smooth, sort of Dumble-esque kind of tones out of it, but it will get into Marshall territory, so that's what we're going to try and do right now. And then it does almost like JCM 800 stuff. Not bad.
Next pedal we're going to try out is by my friend Dave Sestito. This is the DLS-FX Reckless Driver Overdrive.
Actually excited to check this out. I don't know much about this pedal, so from what it says online, this is supposed to be a pretty slamming amp in a box. So
Dave was a great guitar player at my high school. He was a few years ahead of me.
nice.
Okay, next we're going to use the SL drive. I really like this pedal. I like it so much that I broke one of the knobs on it, and I keep forgetting to get a new one. So if anybody's watching from Xotic, I'm just joking, actually. No, I actually am not. I am missing a knob on it. But this is a great pedal.
Yeah, this is one that's been around his studio for
a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Long time. Wow. That's definitely more gain.
It's got more gain than Plexi had.
Yeah, so dial that back a little bit. See if that's closer than the BB actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that bite that it was missing before, but like the BB, this will get way gainier. Like you can take it pretty far. Okay, so next up we got the Revival Drive from Origin Effects. This is probably the most amp in a box style pedal of everything in the Shootout. I have one of these as well. These are all Rick's pedals, by the way. I have one of these at home as well, and it looks pretty intimidating on the surface if you just look at it, but it's pretty simple to understand. Essentially, it's just two sides of the same thing. We are going to be using the orange side, which is the tube rectified side. It's really versatile. They designed it to try and cover everything from classic Fender, Tweed, and Blackface sounds to, you know, early Marshall stuff into JCM 800 territory, and it does a pretty good job. So I'm going to try and dial it in as close as I can to the Plexi, and we'll see how it compares. Okay, and last up we've got the Jetter Helium. Now Brad Jetter is a local builder here in Atlanta. I've owned several of his pedals over the years. He's fantastic. The helium is a bit of an outlier because it's designed to be more of like a low gain amp in a box, but we're gonna push it and see how much gain it's got on tap and see if it can get into that Marshall territory. I used to have one of these on my board years ago, and it would stack incredibly well with other overdrives and with a pretty overdriven amp, but that's not what we're using it for today. So we're gonna see how it holds up against the other pedals in the amp.
Well, you're in the same gain territory as the Plexi was.
Yeah.
Same
But
gain.
this doesn't have, that's where the gain on this ends.
Right.
All the other pedals, they could go way higher, but this
That's
is...
all you need. That's as much.
Okay, so I'm listening back to the audio files, and I wanted to do that separately than listening back in the control room, because when you're playing in the moment, the low end from the cabinet is bleeding through from the ISO booth, and it's kind of difficult to tell the subtle nuances and the differences between the pedals and the amp, all that stuff. But after listening back, I have a much better idea of what each one of these pedals sounds like in comparison to the amp, and I think it's safe to say that basically all of them are in the Marshall ballpark, but I don't think anyone in particular nails the amp's tone. To my ear, the amp just had more going on. There was more harmonics, there was more low end, the amp was punchier, had more of mid-range, and it sounded like a Marshall. It had that upper mid-range classic Marshall bite that we've come to know and love from the 100-watt Plexi. Now, some of the pedals got relatively close to that. I think the BB preamp did a good job. I think the helium was amazing. To me, the helium was the closest and most amp-like of all of the pedals. But the most difficult thing to nail was the gain. Trying to get the gain right between the pedals and the amps was not easy. And all of the pedals kind of did the similar thing, which I was expecting from an overdrive pedal, which is that they all rolled off quite a bit of low end. That is a characteristic of a lot of overdrive pedals. They typically high pass or roll off bottom end going into the front of the amp. Every overdrive sound that we got out of all of them was really, really great. I mean, there was nothing in there that sounded bad. But if you're going just off of what got closest to the amplifier, my ear says the helium, the Jetter helium, which makes a lot of sense. When you know Brad Jetter and you know his work, that man really knows what he's doing when it comes to guitar sounds and guitar tone. But I also thought the BB preamp did a good job on the overall EQ and response. We had too much gain coming from the pedal, but overall I feel like it got closer to that Plexi sound. The SL drive was more of like a JMP, JCM 800 kind of sound. And the Revival drive was good, but it had this weird sort of honky mid-range thing that I couldn't get out of it. Sort of half-cocked wah sound that was coming from it. Maybe that's because Rick's has that extra EQ panel on the front and mine doesn't. But for whatever reason, I couldn't get that EQ curve out of it. To me, the best tones, the best overdrive sounds come from an amp. Whether you're pushing that amp with a boost pedal or even an overdrive pedal pushing it harder, the most natural and most amp-like overdrive tones, in my experience, come from an actual guitar amp. It comes from the preamp section interacting with the power amp section, pushing a speaker really, really hard. Those are the sweet overdrive sounds that we're looking for. When you start talking about pedals that sound amp-like, they're trying to emulate that. And so in my experience, I've gotten the best results with overdrives by pushing amps really hard. And that's what my favorite overdrive pedals do really, really well. So out of all the pedals in this shootout, the Helium was my favorite, which means I probably need to buy one again. I had one for years and sold it years ago to buy something else, and now I'm realizing that I missed it. But what was your favorite? Let me know in the comments section down below. Huge thanks to Rick for having me over to do another one of these shootout videos. They're always a lot of fun to make, and I always learn something every time we do one of them. If you want more information on any of the pedals or anything we used in the video, you can check that out in the description box down below. This video is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. This is something that we just decided to do off the cuff with some of Rick's gear while we were over there yesterday. But I will have some affiliate links to the pedals down below. If you're interested, you buy through one of those links, I earn a small commission, which really helps support this channel, so I thank you. As always, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe, click the bell to be notified when I'm posting new videos. Check out my video courses, the tone course and the Nashville Number System course down below. And as always, thanks for watching.